Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos, Shabbos Mivarchim Tammuz. Shabbos which blesses the upcoming month of Tammuz, which will be the 29th yard site, this Wednesday night and Thursday, of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who has left an incredible, indelible mark on this world and continues to give energy through his teachings and inspiration and his messengers around the world to transform and to bring a good deed into this world. It's also Shabbos Parshat Shlach. And Shlach lecha anashim, God tells Moses to send for yourself messengers, miraglim spies, to go and see the land of Israel, and they come back with a negative report that yes, the fruits, the famous fruit of the vine, are incredibly large, and the land of milk and honey, but it's a land in which there are giants, sons of giants. And Amalek is living in the south, scaring off the Jewish people. If Amalek is in the Negev, which is the most barren part of the land of Israel, imagine how strong other nations are that are in the north, in the Golan, and in the Galil, in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And so they scare off the Jewish people. The Rebbe speaks about this idea, and why would these 12 tzaddikim, they were great leaders of each tribe, why would they tell, or 10 out of 12, besides Yeshua, Joshua, and Caleb and Yefunah, why would they tell the Jewish people that they cannot win over the land of Israel? The reality is the Jewish people just left the greatest empire in the history of the world at that time, and that was Egypt, who was the world power. And in a moment's notice, they were disappeared in 10 plagues, and then the splitting of a sea. Miracle after miracle that happened. And so why, if they knew that the purpose of going out of Egypt was not to become free, but to study Torah and to enter into the land of Israel, why is it that they believed that they can no longer be victorious going into the land of Israel? And the answer the Rebbe explains is they made a tremendous mistake. Well, there's two parts to this mistake. They're intricately connected. The first part, they made a mistake that they realized when they go into the land of Israel, it's no longer going to be a place like the desert, which the desert had manna coming from heaven. When they needed food, God sent food from heaven. They needed their clothes washed. It says the clouds of glory washed their clothes. It protected them. They didn't need a military because they protected them. They had slav meat, the special pigeon coming from quail coming from heaven. And so everything they had was just given to them. And so all they had to do all day was serve Hashem. They studied Torah. They were basically retired and just enjoying the incredible light that Hashem gave them. But these spies went to the land of Israel and they saw this is a land that's going to take tremendous amount of work to conquer. It's a land in which has our militaries that they're going to have to build up, that we're going to have to develop, and we're going to have to build out cities. And so what are we going to do? We're not going to have enough time to study. We're not going to have time to connect with Hashem. We're going to be busy farming the land and working the land. And to this they made the grave mistake. It's that better we stay in the desert where God will protect us than if we have to go into this land of Israel. It was part of the second part of the mistake, is that why did they believe that God would not make them a miracle and be able to conquer the land? And reality is that until now God made miracle after miracle. And so they went with that same theory that once they go into the laws of nature and leave that desert experience, then the laws of the miracle, the beyond the letter of the law, miracles would not be happening for them, which was true. Meaning, when they went to the land of Israel, there was no longer a land that had plagues or splitting of a sea or incredible lights, the giving of a Torah. But it was a land which we'd have to work for and a land which we'll have to conquer. And they made this grave mistake to realize that Hashem gives us the power and the energy to be able to transform this world, to be able to conquer this world, not through miracles, but through the natural order. And this was the grave mistake that the spies made. And because of that, they were not destined to go into the land of Israel, but only their children. 40 years later, the next generation would have the merit to be able to go into the land of Israel with Joshua, because they would understand that for living in the desert for 40 years, that's not the purpose of life. The purpose of life is not just to receive, but the purpose of life is to develop and to build and to expand and to give, and not to be a receiver. Not just to wait for manna from heaven, but to build factories in order that you can be able to have employees and be able to help out their families, to build the land of Israel, that we can all be safe and secure, to create an army, to be able to be a world power in the natural order of the world. That is what God created this world for, to create a dwelling place for Hashem down here in this physical world, not depending on miracles of the clouds of glory. And so we go into the Shabbos Mivarchim Tammuz, we take this message. This was a message the Rebbe gave us, to go out into this world and to transform the world as we know it, to go to a seemingly barren land, a place that takes a lot of work. It's not a place where just Judaism is just flourishing, and to create and develop a place over there to bring light from a place in which there is no light. And so as we go into the Shabbos, we take on this message of the Rebbe to wherever we go, to develop that place, to build that place, to bring holiness and spirituality into that space. And if we do that, God willing, we'll come back to a land of Israel, which has an incredible light and energy with the coming of Mashiach very soon in our days. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.